my next question for you would be, where do you think common sense comes into play with the LSAT? And I see a lot of people, freaking out about outside information being brought in and this idea of the LSAT being a vacuum in and of itself. So how do you reconcile that with things like the reasonable person standard and things like common sense?
That's a great question. It's hard to articulate a hard and fast rule about this. It's something that you have to kind of just gain familiarity with as you do more and more LSAT questions. You don't have to do every exam ever released, but I think that doing at least a couple dozen would be valuable to start to get a sense of LSAC's rhythm and what they consider to be outside, what they consider to not be outside. So for example, the days of the week, Saturday through Friday, right? Or Monday to Sunday, whatever it is, the days of the week go in a particular order. Numbers go in a particular order. Letters of the alphabet go in a particular order. And then there's also things like climate change and heart disease and car speeding and things like that happen in the real world. And so I think if you do more LSAT questions, you will get a better sense of it. There is no real outside information being brought in that the average person on the street wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, outside information can help you it makes you feel more comfortable with something, but it can also sometimes hurt you if it leads you to bring in something that wasn't actually stated in the passage and lets you make a particular assumption. So I'll give you an example. One of my favorite LSAT questions is from, I think, test 38. It involves a doctor who is a smoker and wants to ban smoking in public.
Oh, I remember this one.
Oh yeah, you remember this? I love this one. This one's great.
Yeah, go through it.
Yeah, it's great. So this doctor, he's a smoker, wants to ban smoking in public places. Now, we think doctors shouldn't smoke. It's strange that a doctor would smoke, so we're already kind of confused by this. Then the smoker wants to ban smoking in a public place. You would think a smoker wants smoking to be permitted everywhere so they can smoke wherever they want. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that are counterintuitive in this particular example. But outside knowledge would say doctors don't smoke and smokers don't want to ban smoking. And so that can lead you to have a kind of disconnect that can slow you down or confuse you and get you all tripped up, right? And so that's where I think outside information and assumptions can actually really hurt you. And you need to always just stick to simply what's in the text, nothing's more, nothing beyond that. I mean, there are things like obviously the sun comes up in the morning and goes down at night, or the days of the week and things like that. But beyond that, there's not really much to bring in from the outside knowledge previously.
Right. And so for that question, can you just, for the sake of resolving it for our listeners who might not have been exposed, do you recall what the actual premise of the question was? Like, it wasn't touching on those two outside information, pieces of outside information. What was the premise of that question with the doctor? That's
a great question. So it was actually, I believe it was a parallel reasoning flaw question. So parallel flaw, where there was another example in the stimulus. It's escaping me at the moment, but basically this was actually the correct answer to it. So sorry for anyone ruining test 38 for you. It's old enough that it didn't really matter. But the idea is that there was another similarly counterintuitive flaw in the stimulus. And so you had to match it with this example with the doctor.
Got it. Yep. And so that's something that, the LSAT will play a lot with, or the parallel reasoning, and, testing your ability to look at something and have that innate ability to question it, but also to recognize that at the end of the day, this is a test that you need to just look at what's being said to you in the test question and evaluate it based on that. So yes, outside information comes in. It could be helpful in, making inferences and things like that. But at the same time, you need to be able to just evaluate what's given to you and make your most logical reasoning based on that.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.